and welcome back, or if you're new here, I'm Kayleen and I live in the Yarra Valley, Victoria, Zone 9B if you're in America. That's conversion for you. And we're in the start of summer in December. We've just done Christmas, so Merry Christmas to all of you. It is very exciting at the moment actually. We've got a lot of new things growing and all our summer vegetables have kicked off. So today I'll share you a little bit about the garden and what's been an issue in the garden and how I'm rectifying it, and into the kitchen to show you how we manage the food and share a healthy, delicious recipe. The young berries have just finished. Unfortunately, we were enjoying those, but we got about 7 kilos or more from our young berries, which was pretty cool. And now we have got blueberries. So I don't have a lot of blueberries and they're not overly large, but we have started picking them, and it's really nice to know that we've got blueberries that aren't full of sprays and things. So that's nice, and they're sweeter than what you buy in the shops, so that's really fun. But the garden is very exciting at the moment, and I'm really pleased with the progress over the past 12 months in there. I really feel like I've caught up a lot and developed a whole lot of new areas, put a lot of new plants in, and everything is looking pretty healthy. I haven't got too many issues. I have got some pest pressure, mainly from slugs that are out in full force. There's a lot of earwigs around, but I'm seeing more damage, I think, from slugs, and only on things that are finishing. It's interesting how if your plants are healthy, they don't tend to get attacked so much. It's just on the leaves that are finishing or on the plants that are on their way down. So it's reached its peak and it's time to harvest. So I've had some damage on a cabbage. So I got out and did some night stalking for some slugs, and you will be amazed how many I found. So I took a container of water with a bit of salt in it and a little drop of dishwashing liquid. Took it outside just as it got dark. Like, it wasn't long after it got dark, and I thought initially that it was a rat or something eating my cabbage, but when I saw how many slugs were out there and the size of them, I thought, no, that was it must have been slug damage. So I do have a sensor in the garden, so it should have picked up any animals. But yes, these slugs were a decent size, and I do have really large slugs in the garden that are good slugs, but these are not good slugs, and I collected quite a few that night. So I really do need to make a vigil and go out there more often. I'm surprised with the amount I found that night. I didn't have more damage, but I think that they were not attacking my plants so much. They were eating decaying matter and leaves and that. I keep my garden pretty clean as far as the plants. I take off leaves that are starting to go yellow and things like that, and I put them either on the garden bed or on the ground, and that is food for these kinds of pests. So they do tend to go for that before they'll go for the fresh stuff. So I don't want any flags, cues for the slugs, like leaves that are dying off on my plants, but if I leave them on, and they come a running. So this cabbage actually had a little bit of powdery mildew, so it was due to be cut, it was time to harvest it. I was trying to get it as big as I could, but obviously the slugs knew harvesting time was now. So after I collected all these slugs, I went ahead and cut that cabbage quick smart and we ate it, and I didn't find any slugs in it. I think I found 2 little tiny ones when I soaked that came out from the main leaves. So if you're getting a lot of holes in your vegetables, I highly recommend you go out after dark. I used to go out really late and found that around 11 o'clock at night it was a good time to go out there, but this night I caught a lot of them on their way up to do damage, and it was just the right time. I can't remember if it had been raining or I had watered. It's obviously all of this is wet. I think it had been raining, so maybe it was the rain that got them out earlier. But along with these slugs, there was also the leopard slugs. I have a lot of leopard slugs, and I'll show you that so that you see the difference. If you have them in your garden, not to panic too much. I try and keep them in the compost a bit, but I do find them outside hunting down other slugs. They actually eat other slugs, and they do not attack your plants. They only like decaying matter, and but are a friend in the garden as far as they're a predator of other slugs. So if you see these, and they're very, very easy to distinguish because of the markings. So as you can see, I got a lot of slugs in one swoop, and I think just the amount that I picked up in that one night would have been a significant difference in my garden. Not only would those particular slugs not be at work, but they aren't in there now to breed on and create even more slugs. And yeah, I don't have a lot of snails, but slugs I do have in abundance. So I picked that cabbage, and along with everything else that I could see in the garden that needed to be pulled. So there was some beetroot and lots of greens. Now we are inclined to eat whatever is growing and try and put that together before we go for anything else. We try to use the produce out of the garden and use as much of each plant as we can. And we have consistent food coming out all the time, and very rarely have we had to buy vegetables over the past 12 months. So that has been really positive for this year. We basically use whatever we've got, whatever I can find in the garden as I go around, and I try and cook with it straight away rather than harvesting, putting things in the fridge, storing it, or processing things in big batches. I try to use as much as I can fresh as it comes out of the garden. This way you're getting the minerals and the vitamins, the maximum nutritional load of the food is being absorbed by our bodies if we're eating it straight from the garden to the table as quick as possible. Nothing is lost, it's preserved, and you pretty much, everything becomes like a multivitamin. I think you have an appreciation too of things when they're in season. So, some things you can't have all year round, or most things you can't have all year round. So when the berries are out or when the zucchinis are ready, it's pretty exciting each time, and you're looking forward to that new vegetable or new fruit. So I'm glad I filmed this recipe actually, because it was absolutely beautiful, and I'll be making it again. one of the urgent jobs that I needed to do in December was to cut back my apple tree. Now, a lot of people cut back their trees in the winter time, but summer pruning is the way to go with my apple tree. I needed to trim it back and be able to net it. So there was a lot of unnecessary growth on it and it needed a nice haircut. So that's what I did. And I was able to then wrap the apples that I had in the netting, and I got rid of some of the diseased leaves. Now, this apple tree has had this disease on it for several years now, a few years, and I've just let it go. Instead of pulling it out, I have let it go, and it still bears apples. So I don't know, it's still going strong, so I'm going to let it keep producing. So I just feed it really well, and with a bit of luck it will overcome those leaves eventually. Only has a few here and there, and the rest of it's pretty healthy. I did that, and then once I cleaned up the mess, I bagged it. Now, underneath the apple tree, for its health and companionship, I've got comfrey growing, which brings up minerals from deep down for it. There's some strawberries in here, which I actually thought would get overrun by the comfrey. It's quite bossy, the comfrey. I've also got some elephant garlics in there that are very close to harvesting. I need to pull them up pretty soon. And I think there's some chives in there hiding as well. So lots of food underneath the tree as well, and of course the comfrey I use as fertilizer. So that is due to be chopped back yet again. But if you've got this far, I thank you for joining me today. The next video will be a tour of all the different areas of the garden and all the new plants that are coming out now, particularly the summer plants, and so there's some unusual ones in there. So lots of babies started, and a lot of pretty flowers still in the garden and coming out in the garden too. So it will be a lovely tour to have a look at, and that will be next up. But thank you for joining me today in the kitchen and outside on sharing some of the random stuff that goes on in my little urban homestead. I hope your week is wonderful, and I will see you next time, friends. Bye for now. Thank you.